It may not be super obvious at first, but if you're a car enthusiast and you like tinkering with cars and personalizing them to your own tastes, very few games out there can match GTA 5 Online. Because over the years, we've received so many new vehicle-themed content additions like the Lowriders update, the Tuners DLC, and Benny's, that this game has now become a bona fide vehicle building simulator. You can make race cars, drift cars, cars for the street, cars for rallying, and everything else in between. And thanks to the arena, we can even make Mad Max or Death Race themed garages full of absolutely psycho tier vehicle mods. But today's video is focused on one very specific garage, and that is Benny's Customs. Because if we're talking about sheer numbers and even quality of visual mods available to cars inside of this game, nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, tops Benny's. And in today's video, I'm going to give you guys my personal top 15 best Benny's vehicle picks in GTA 5 Online. Starting of course with one of the hottest rat rods in the game, the Weevil Custom. And there's two ways to go about obtaining one of these for your car collection. The first route you can go is by buying a base Weevil for $870,000 on Southern San Andreas Super Autos. Or for the second route, you can actually get one for free by doing all 3 Kind Music DJ requests sent to you by English Date. And while it starts off as a humble people carrier with really crappy performance and unremarkable looks, you can transform it into a fire-breathing dragon by taking it to Benny's garage, where you pay him $980,000 to get your very own Weevil Custom. And this does two things. First, it gives you a plethora of visual mods that you won't get anywhere else, and a lot of these, like the Baja Bull Bar and Chrome Buggy rear cage, are unique to the Weevil Custom. Secondly, you get a massive performance increase as the car goes from having a top speed of just 102 miles an hour with the base Weevil to now racing through the streets at over 137 miles per hour. Now, this does come with a few caveats, like for example, not being able to take a turn at over 80 miles an hour and having the stopping distance of a Freightliner. However, if all you care about is really sick looks and a high speed in a straight line, the Weevil Custom simply cannot be beat if you're on last gen. This is actually the fastest car that you can get. Next at number 2, we've got the Progen Itali GTB Custom, which is heavily inspired by the McLaren 570S, and this thing is an absolute racing machine as it can lay down some pretty impressive laps with its all-wheel drive powertrain as well as excellent grip. The top speed isn't all that great at 127 miles an hour, which would have been considered excellent back in the OG days, but now you've got so many cars that can blow past 150 miles an hour with HSW upgrades, so being in the 120s isn't really considered as impressive anymore. However, this list isn't just about top speed or handle, it's about customization as well, which the Itali GTB Custom does very well. It has a wide range of bumpers, diffusers, fenders, exhausts, hoods, and spoilers, so you can make it look like a tame GT car for the streets or a purpose-bred track machine if you want it. Then, if we move on to the interior, we've got roll cages, custom seats, steering wheels, shifter levers, trim colors, dashes, and so much more to the point where it almost feels overwhelming. But if you plan on spending a lot of time inside this car and driving it in first person, I'd say these interior options are absolutely worth investing in. At number 3, we've got a bit of a black sheep with a Vapid Slamvan Custom, and it's not a supercar or a sports car, rather it's a pickup truck. However, this is no ordinary pickup. It's a heavily customized lowrider muscle car with hydraulics, custom wheels, and heavily tuned internals that give it much more speed and superior handling compared to the base vehicle. It's also one of the cheapest Benny's vehicles that you can own in this game, as the regular Vapid Slamvan can be bought for just $49,500, and then the Benny's upgrade for that is just $415 grand. Is this truck going to be your ideal daily driver? No, it's actually a total pig, even with the Benny's performance tune, and it really loves to slide around when you slam it on the ground. But it's still a very fun car to customize, and if you're going to car meets or building sort of a rat rod garage, you absolutely need to have at least one Slamvan Custom in your collection. Then we've got the Sabre Turbo Custom, which is my next favorite Benny's vehicle, as there are few things that I like more than some old school American muscle, and this car definitely fits the bill here because its design is heavily inspired by both the Chevy Chevelle as well as the Oldsmobile Cutlass, and it looks stunning even when it's standing still. The base Sabre Turbo costs just $15,000, and then if you take it to Benny's, you can give it the lowrider treatment by spending a further $490,000. So the entire package is just $500,000, and for that money, you're getting one of the most stylish vehicles in the game. There are so many unique customization options just for the engine alone, like for example, the painted livery valve covers and chrome rib valve covers for the V8 engine block. And then you also have custom air intakes like the swept-back ram pipes and twin air filters. All of these honestly give the Sabre Turbo Custom a real hot rod vibe, and it feels like you're making your very own classic muscle car at home. Up next is the legendary Banshee 900R, and if you like Dodge Vipers, you're gonna love this car, as it's essentially a more hardcore version of the regular Banshee in the game with a wide body kit and some modified side intakes next to the rear wheel arches. The 900R is faster as well, with a top speed of 130 miles an hour compared to the 118 that you get on the regular Banshee, though if performance isn't your primary objective here, the unmodified Banshee is actually faster once you install HSW upgrades because it gets a top speed of 150 miles an hour, and it also laps faster faster than the Benny's Banshee on racetracks. However, again, this video isn't about pure speed, so how does the Banshee 900R fare in terms of visual mods? As it turns out, the Banshee 900R is one of the best vehicles for customization because not only does it have thrice the amount of mods as the regular Banshee, but a lot of these are quality, handcrafted mods that suit the vibe and design of your very own 900R. You can turn it into a street racer, a roadster, a drifting machine, or even a show car. Your imagination's the only limit when it comes to building a custom 900R. Then we have the classic Porsche 911 that everyone loves, the Comet Retro Custom, and not only is this an excellent Benny's vehicle, of course, but it's also one of the most fun cars to drive in the entire game. In fact, if you're doing some light contact missions or resupplies for your businesses, you could probably get by with just a Comet Retro Custom as long as you have the bulletproof tires installed, because overall it handles really well, minus a bit of understeer here and there. And since the top speed isn't all that dramatic, you'll actually rarely run into situations where the power outshines the mechanical grip that this car has to offer. So just be careful with the throttle as you accelerate out of tight corners, because that's when this car can switch from understeer to oversteer in the blink of an eye if you're not careful. The Gauntlet Classic Custom is another muscle car that I just have to include on this list because it's just the perfect mix of a 1969 Charger Daytona and a Plymouth Superbird. To make the Gauntlet Classic Custom, you're going to need a regular Gauntlet Classic, which costs $615,000. Then you can take it to Benny's where he'll work his magic on it and transform it into the Classic Custom variant for a fee of $815,000. In exchange for that money, you get a one-of-a-kind muscle car with some real NASCAR heritage that you can also turn into a dragster by installing some wheelie bars, a roll cage, and a parachute in the back. I also just love just how many hood options this car has. Like, you've got dual filter blowers, oval intake bug catchers, triple intake bug catchers, carbon intakes, and so much more to play with just in the hood category alone. Then you also have all the race-inspired liveries that are unique to the Gauntlet Classic Custom, and you can make this thing look like a period-correct Charger Daytona or a Plymouth Superbird if you want. Moving on to the 8th car on my list, we've got the classy Yosemite Rancher, and this one's also a blast from the past as it's based on the humble Chevy C10 pickup. However, don't let the modest looks fool you, as this is not some basic 4x4 that you can use to haul lumber. This thing's an off-roading beast, and as you can tell by the high ground clearance, that fat off-road set of tires, the heavy-duty suspension underneath, it'll conquer all hills, mountains, deserts, rivers, honestly, whatever you throw at it. There are so many off-road themed mods too once you upgrade the base Yosemite to the Benny's Yosemite Rancher for $700,000. Like, you've got snorkeling kits, metal off-roading shields for the front undercarriage, heavy-duty bull bars, winches, light bars on the roof, custom roll cages. Heck, you even have dials on this thing which are full of personality. Then we've got the Voodoo Custom, and just like the Sabre Turbo Custom, this is a lowrider, and while at first glance it might seem like the world's most expensive rust removal program, in reality it completely transforms the base Voodoo into a car that all your homies can be proud of when you ride around with it in the hood. See, the Voodoo Custom already looks like a luxury yacht on wheels with those fins and the streamlined fenders and that 27-foot long hood. However, this Chevy Impala can be made to look even better with some Benny's mods. Mods like custom valve train covers, chrome air filters, twin shotgun exhausts, chrome tooth grills, hydraulics, and giant speakers in the trunk. Basically, if you're doing a lowrider muscle car build, you have to have a Voodoo Custom in your collection because this thing is just about as stylish as it gets. But let's say you want something a bit more subtle, a bit more modern here. Well, in that case, you can't go wrong with the legendary Nero Custom, which is derived by taking a base Trufati Nero worth $1.4 million and transforming it with a Benny's upgrade for a further $605,000. So in total, you're about to pay $2 million before installing a single actual performance upgrade, but I think it's well worth it because not only is the Nero Custom an excellent racing machine in the supercar class, but it also has the sort of refined, luxurious look that you can only get with a Bugatti. And while the customization options aren't as numerous as, say, a Sultan RS or Sentinel Classic Widebody, they're all very tasteful and retain the overall silhouette of the Nero Custom without turning it into some gaudy monster. Every single one of those custom mods is tailor-made with the Nero in mind, and if you want, you can even turn it into a look-alike of the Vision Gran Turismo, the real-life Bugatti that is based on. Car number 11 is the Sentinel Classic Widebody, and this one's a bit of a head-scratcher, as at first it barely seems any different from the Sentinel Classic that it's based on, but of course there's the bolt-on fenders and the spoiler in the back, which you notice once you zoom in a bit. So while it won't blow you away with its looks, I actually prefer the way Rockstar executed this Benny's mod because the E30 M3 already looks excellent in its base form, and I think a few wide-body fenders and a custom spoiler is more than enough to elevate it to the next level without ruining the form and the aesthetic of this classic sports car. The Sentinel Classic Widebody also retains the sharp turn-in and exceptional handling characteristics of the regular Classic, but it adds just a dash of extra power to lift that top speed from 117 miles an hour to over 127 miles an hour. Is that going to matter for racing? Not really, as the handling profile and the grip and the brakes are still very much identical to the base car, but you get a ton of wheels, spoilers, and liveries that aren't available on the regular Sentinel Classic, and that's why you should buy this car. The Karin Sultan RS is another one of my favorites here, and this is a tuner's dream as it has enough lights, spoilers, wheels, hoods, and interior customization to keep you busy for hours hours on end. I think you could buy 12 different Sultans, upgrade all of them into the Sultan RS, do unique builds with each one of them, and you'd still only be scratching the surface in terms of what's possible with this car. If I had to complain, I'd say that the exhaust selection is kind of limited because no matter what you pick, it's going to be a side exhaust, but that's a limitation I can live with considering how many options this car gives you in every other category, from liveries to interior mods to grills and engine blocks. The Elegy Retro Custom is also making it onto my list, and this one's easily a top 3, an all-timer even, and that's because it's based on the legendary R32 Skyline GTR, aka Godzilla. Funnily enough, the Retro Custom is ever so slightly slower than the Elegy RH8 that it's based on, but that's no issue once you start customizing this car, because with the right picks, you can make it look exactly like Brian's GTR from Fast and Furious, or any other variant of the GTR you want, to be honest, because there are so many fenders, grills, bumpers, skirts, and spoilers that you could create 11 different builds within 2 minutes just by randomly mashing your head on the keyboard. The Dubachi Spectre Custom is another car that ranks very highly on my list, and this one's a spitting image of the Aston Martin DB10, automatically making it one of the most gorgeous cars in the game. Then you add some Benny's upgrades to the regular Spectre for just $252,000, and you've got yourself a tuning god, because you're essentially working with the best possible starter template in the entire Benny's catalog, and all you have to do is make it look slightly better, which is a very easy task. The Spectre Custom is ranked number 2 on my list for that reason. It's so dang easy to work with, and no matter how hard you try, you can't mess it up. It's always going to look good, plus the Benny's upgrade is just 252 grand again, so this is one of the most affordable Benny's cars that you can actually get. Lastly, at number 1, we've got my absolute favorite Benny's car of them all, the Obey 10F Widebody, and this one needs no introduction from me, of course. Over the years, several other creators and GTA Online players have recognized that this car has probably the most insane customization potential of any Benny's vehicle, and there's so many things you could do with it, like deleting the rear bumper, putting twin turbos in the back, mounting a giant intercooler in the front, stripping out all the internals, and making a super light race car. The possibilities with this thing are truly endless. You could skip all the obvious visual mods and make a super clean sleeper build with only tiny hints here and there to show that this has been heavily modded. I love driving the 10F Widebody, I love the way it handles, I love making new 10F builds every other month, so it definitely earns the rank of number 1 on my Benny's car list for me. Anyways, we're gonna be wrapping things up right here. That's all I have for this video. Let me know in the comments what are your favorite Benny's cars, and if you'd have ranked any of these differently. Again, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to drop a like on this video if you found it enjoyable. Subscribe to the channel if you are new and you want to see more GTA 5 online content just like this. Check me out over on Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram, specifically twitch.tv/hazardoushttv for more GTA Online money grinding live streams, and I'll see you guys in the next GTA 5 video. Adios, amigos.